Who won the vice presidential debate last night? That's the topic for today, and a little bit of news about Trump. I hope you're all having a great day. Dave here from Informed American. Did you watch the debate? Already got a comment here from Nancy Ikes. Yeah, comment down below. I can see your comments as I'm going here live. I got a couple highlights I want to get to, but go ahead and let me know who you think won. Nancy says Pence won 100% on decorum alone. Decorum. And a link to thesaurus.com for all of us who don't know what decorum means. Thank you. Thank you, Nancy. Yeah, it is interesting. I was thinking about the contrast between Pence and Trump. Pence is sort of like that silent killer kind of personality, and I was chatting with Zach earlier on Skype. He'd be the kind of dad where he just gives you a look, and if the kids are rabble-rousing or something, they just see that look and they scurry into their rooms, kind of a thing. He doesn't even really have to lift a finger. And we see Kamala Harris as well. She's very different. She's more, I don't want to compare her to Trump, but more demonstrative. Let's just call it that way. With her facial expressions, when she hears something that displeases her, she's just she'll just let you know right away. And she has that, and she likes to laugh at things in that kind of way of like diffusing a situation. And it is interesting to see. I'd like to be a fly on the wall, and we'll get to flies in just a second. I'd like to be a fly on the wall, and maybe in the Oval Office with President Trump and Vice President Pence, how they actually interact with one another. Nancy says Pence quoted provable facts while Harris lied, which can also be proven. Yeah, fact checking. I'm not going to get into the fact checking here, by the way. There's plenty of that around. But yeah, I think they both played a little bit fast and loose with the facts here and there. But so Nancy says Vice President Pence won the debate. By the way, early polling I saw showed that, except for CNN, which showed Harris had won the debate. So let's get to. I've got a couple of video highlights I want to get to. Some of the ones that I found. So let's pivot right to that. Harris laughs when she's nervous. Yeah, I think that's true. That's like it. I don't want to call it insincere because that's not true, but it does seem. It seems more of like a. Sort of a reaction to things, if you get a zinger, she'll just sort of do the cackle, and we've seen that. She's almost famous for the for the Harris laugh. So she is a character, and it was so we did see a contrast. So, but despite I think as we'll see, and if you watch the debate, there was no Trump-Biden thing, and that's one of the things I said in the 5 things we learned from the Trump and Biden debate. And the thing that surprised me was really kind of how much of a jerk Joe Biden is. We expect it from Trump. We expect that brashness from Trump and rudeness, and it was a little bit interesting to see how these two guys are very alike. So there's not much of a choice in temperament between Trump and Biden, but there was a contrast here. But I do want to mention. Despite Kamala Harris being so demonstrative, it seemed like for the most part she was respectful. She wasn't rude or anything like that. And of course, we know Pence always he's more or less cool as a cucumber, or just has that. If he does have some anger, it's just sort of simmering under the surface. It's kind of interesting to watch them. Interesting to see their personalities here. So let's get to this first one. I got 3 clips here. This one's on court packing.
You've refused to answer the question. Joe Biden has refused to answer the question. So I think the American people would really like to know, if Judge Amy Coney Barrett is confirmed to the Supreme Court of the United States, are you and Joe Biden, if somehow you win this election, going to pack the Supreme Court to get your way?
I'm so glad we went through a little history lesson. Let's do that a little more. In 1864...
Well, I'd like you to answer the question.
No, Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking. I'm speaking. Okay. In 1864, one of the, I think, political heroes, certainly of the president, I assume if you also...
So let's just so we know where we are here. Now, in the first debate, President Trump pressed Biden, and even Chris Wallace pressed Biden on, will you, are you plan on packing the Supreme Court if Judge Amy Coney Barrett gets confirmed? And he just would not answer it. So we have a direct question here to Senator Harris. Will you pack the Supreme Court if we confirm Amy Coney Barrett? and she says, let's go back to 1864, okay?
So, Mr. Vice President, is Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln was up for re-election, and it was 27 days before the election, and a seat became open on the United States Supreme Court. Abraham Lincoln's party was in charge not only of the White House, but the Senate. But Honest Abe said it's not the right thing to do. The American people deserve to make the decision about who will be the next president of the United States, and then that person can select who will serve for a lifetime on the highest court of our land. And so Joe and I are very clear. The American people are voting right now, and it should be their decision about who will serve on this most important body.
Okay, I don't know. Well, that's not an answer, by the way. Whatever God's name happened with the Supreme Court in the 1864 literally has nothing to do with whether or not you will pack the Supreme Court, if you have plans to pack the Supreme Court if elected. This is a complete non-answer. I mean, I don't know. Now, maybe we'll get into at some point 1864, the circumstances around the Supreme Court nomination. I'll tell you what, they're nothing like they are now. It is completely, it's just irrelevant. I don't know what the point is. So Abe waited. Okay, well, why did he wait? He really waited for, because of, I don't know. It doesn't matter. But it doesn't, even so, it doesn't answer the question. Even if let's just say, supposing that it's wrong to, well, it's not wrong according to the Constitution, but just say it's somehow otherwise wrong to nominate Amy Coney Barrett at this point. What does that have to do with if you have plans to pack the Supreme Court or not? It's completely irrelevant. Nancy got another comment. Thank you, Nancy. Joe Biden at Democrat debate, eliminate coal fracking. Yeah, that was a big one. I don't have... Nancy, I don't have that video highlighted, but yeah, this one came up again, the fracking issue. And why is it such a big issue? Well, Pennsylvania, guys. Pennsylvania is a swing state. Trump won in 2016. I'm not going to get into the polls, but right now Biden's leading. But Pennsylvanians support fracking, and it's clear through, everyone can click through this link to Breitbart if they want. I think you will find both Biden and Kamala Harris are against fracking. There's no question they're against it. And the question is, what will Pennsylvania voters think about this? I believe off the top of my head, I believe Pennsylvania voters favor fracking by something like 2-1. Why? Because it gives them jobs, and people like jobs. They don't want someone to come in and take their jobs away through regulating their jobs out of existence. So thanks for that, Nancy. 1/3 of all U.S. presidents appointed to Supreme Court. So we got another there from Washington. But yeah, this is totally normal. This is totally normal. And I don't know what this 1864 thing has to do with anything. It's just a terrible. I mean, she was obviously prepared on this. She wasn't. She didn't come up with that off the top of her head. This was a strategy to, when asked if you will pack the Supreme Court, to pivot to Abraham Lincoln didn't put his guy through, and fine, and it's not even worth. I did see some stuff going around there on Twitter about this, people quoting history books about the circumstances around it. I don't care. It's got nothing to do with it. I'm not even going to get into those weeds of what state of mind Abraham Lincoln was thinking with the Supreme Court nominee and the political circumstances surrounding it. It's got nothing to do with right now. It's completely irrelevant. The Constitution gives the power to the president to nominate a Supreme Court justice, and the Senate has the power to advise and consent that nomination. Case closed. It doesn't have anything to do with when people start mailing in their ballots. It's completely irrelevant. I guess voters will decide in November. Maybe that's part of their decision making. If they disapprove of the president nominating Amy Coney Barrett and having the Senate, we're not. She hasn't been confirmed yet. I mean, I guess it's up to voters to disapprove of it. But I think voters have a right to know if you plan, based on that nomination, to then add more justices to the Supreme Court so that they will tilt to your own ideological bent. Voters have a right to know that. And answering with these things, with these kinds of answers, they need Biden and Harris need to answer this directly. Or maybe this is their answer, right? Their non-answer is their answer. Yes, they plan on packing the Supreme Court if they get the power to do so. That's the answer, right? And I think, and that should just be hammered home. Another comment from Nancy. I lived in Southwest Pennsylvania for 2 decades. Believe me, Pennsylvania needs jobs, Nancy. Yeah. And I'm assuming, Nancy, if you're still here, that they love those energy jobs and they will take them. And I cannot imagine that Pennsylvanians would be happy with seeing their fracking industry get completely blown up and losing more and more jobs. So let's kick it to, I got another one here, highlight here. This is the China trade war.
I want to move on to
Well, I'd love to respond. Look, lost the trade war with China. Joe Biden never fought it. Joe Biden has been a cheerleader for communist China over the last several decades. And again, Senator Harris, you're entitled to your opinion. You're not entitled to your own facts. When Joe Biden was vice president, we lost 200,000 manufacturing jobs, and President Obama said they were never coming back. He said we needed a magic wand to bring them back.
Yeah, we all remember
In our
that.
first 3 years after we cut taxes, rolled back regulation, unleashed American energy, this administration saw 500,000 manufacturing jobs created. And that's exactly the kind of growth we're going to continue to see as we bring our nation through this pandemic. But a Green New Deal, your massive new mandates, your Paris Climate Accord, it's going to kill jobs this time, just like it killed jobs.
I just need to respond.
So we go further in here. So one of the claims here, I wanted to highlight this because what we've heard in the media over the overnight and this morning is the idea that Pence was mansplaining Kamala Harris. He was talking over her, taking up her time. Now, in the context of this, I think they both got some of their numbers wrong, if I have this right. Now, I believe Kamala Harris said that Trump lost the trade war and lost 300,000 manufacturing jobs under his presidency. Mike Pence said that the Trump administration had gained 500,000 jobs. Both of those claims are wrong. The United States gained somewhere under 200,000 manufacturing jobs since the Trump presidency. I don't have that number in front of me, but I did check that. Now we may have gained 500, but then lost some other because up and down. But on a net basis, I believe the net gains are about under 200,000 jobs in total. And this is during the trade war with China. This was the whole point. You put tariffs on China. You make their products. Chinese products, we've touched on this a couple of times, but Chinese products are artificially cheap. And the price you pay, the cheap price you pay at Walmart does not reflect the true price of the product in terms of Chinese basically having really cheap labor. There's environmental problems with how they produce things in China. And two, when you lose jobs in the United States, and something we were touching on here about what's going on in Pennsylvania, lost jobs. Now that we're talking specifically energy there, but maybe go to other places in the Midwest, where millions of manufacturing jobs have picked up and left to China. Well, yeah, you're paying a cheaper price for that Chinese product, but you're paying it in other ways when you have whole towns devastated by having manufacturing pick up and leave. Someone is paying, if those people end up on government assistance, that's a price. That is a true price. So the idea with tariffs is you raise the price, make it more of a true parity so that it becomes, we can start making things back here in the United States. And to some degree, that has worked. Manufacturing jobs have come back. So that's an important point, and I don't think one that really even touched on in the first debate. We got another one here, another comment from Nancy. Yes, energy jobs. Yeah, Pennsylvania definitely needs that. All right, I got my another clip here. I believe this one is on taxes. Another response from Vice President Pence.
Vice President, the biggest economic year in the history of this country.
Thank you, Vice President Pence. Senator Harris.
Well, I mean, I thought we saw enough of it in last week's debate, but I think this is supposed to be a debate based on fact and truth. And the truth and the fact is Joe Biden has been very clear. He will not raise taxes on anybody who makes less than $400,000 a year.
He said he's going to repeal the Trump tax cuts.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking.
Well,
I'm speaking.
It'd be important if you said the truth. Joe Biden said twice in the debate last week that he's going to repeal the Trump tax cuts. That was tax cuts that gave the average working family $2,000 in a tax break every single year. Senator,
that is absolutely not true.
Is he only going to repeal part of the Trump tax cuts?
If you don't mind letting me finish, we can then have a conversation. Okay?
Please.
Okay.
So that was
Joe Biden will not raise taxes on anyone who makes less than $400,000.
Right, so that's the Biden tax plan, and this was one of the more contentious contentious items of the night. Pence jumping in, and now here, yeah, we'll get to that in just a second. That was one of the more contentious items of the night. Now you probably heard. Now it remains to be seen, right? If you repeal the Trump tax cuts, well, most Americans of all income brackets, a majority of all Americans in all income brackets, and I can show this if you don't believe me, got a tax cut with the Trump with the Trump tax cut. And now the Biden plan is a little different. It claims to no tax cuts for if you were earning under. I'm sorry, you get a tax cut if you're earning under $400,000, and then raising taxes for those earning above. That's the plan. We'll see what happens. Nancy Ike says only buy made in USA products. Vote in person. Yep. Nervous laughing, not answering direct questions. Yeah, I do see that. And now that and you mentioned that earlier, Nancy, you do see that it's sort of it's a fallback, right? When she's sort of not sure what's going on, or she just does the laugh. I mean, she's a pretty woman and she's charismatic, so it works for her. But there is a little. I think maybe she falls back on it a little too much. Now, as Senator Harris said, this is about facts, and Pence made a thing about you're entitled to your opinion, but not your facts. And we've heard this line before. Maybe it really doesn't matter. All that really mattered was this.
To the men and women who serve in law enforcement, I want everyone to know who puts on the uniform of law enforcement every day. President Trump and I stand with you. And it is remarkable that when Senator Tim Scott tried to pass a
and so that's what we've seen. Now, back quickly to this idea that Pence was mansplaining Kamala Harris and interrupting her. This is from Rick Klein from ABC, Unofficial Speaking Times. Pence 35 minutes, Harris 38 minutes. So on balance, Harris had more time. And the idea, so just throw that crap out of the water. The other thing with the fly, the fly is hilarious. Now, I've seen the Biden team and many people in the media are really going about this fly thing. So what does that tell me? Well, they're trying. Well, it is funny. I mean, that a fly landed on Pence's head, and it's also fun. And maybe it does show. Well, it shows how Pence was just sort of. I don't know if he saw it, but how was he if he knew that fly was on his head and he's just sitting there like, God, get off me! I have to. Two things going at once. He's trying to answer the question. In the back of his mind, he knows he's got that fly on his head. Now, the other thing is the Biden campaign is really latched on to this fly thing, and it was hilarious. As I have if you can hear, my dog is asleep on the floor in some sort of a doggy dream, so I apologize if that's coming through to the microphone. But anyway. The Biden team is really, I think they launched some sort of a website about the fly. There's all these memes going around. And, it is funny. And it does remind me a little bit of the 2012 debate between Romney and Obama with the binders full of women thing. I'm not going to get into all that. But it does remind me, or it makes me think, if the Biden camp is pushing that so much, if they're pushing the fly more than anything that Kamala Harris says, that tells me that the biggest punch landed on Pence last night was that of a tiny leg of a tiny fly on the top of his head. And it tells me that's the best they got. That's my impression. Now, that was the debate last night. I'd love to know what you think. Nancy clearly thinks Vice President Pence won. I'd love to know what you think. Go ahead and comment down below. I want to move quickly to other debate news. Now, there's supposed to be a presidential debate, part 2 of the presidential debate, or debate number 2, rather, next Thursday. But the Trump COVID diagnosis has changed all of that. There was news this morning that the debate commission had changed the format of the upcoming town hall debate to a virtual format. They did this. They did this unanimously. Now, I don't know the exact process of how the debate commission works, how they made this decision, and they clearly did not get the input of the Trump administration, because on hearing this news today, as President Trump appeared on Maria Bartiromo on Fox Business, this is what President Trump had to say.
No, I'm not going to waste my time on a virtual debate. That's not what debating's all about. You sit behind a computer and do a debate. It's ridiculous. And then they cut you off whenever they want. I have a host who I always thought was a nice guy, but I see he's a never-Trumper. Came out that he's a never-Trumper. We do have some of them, Maria, believe it or not, because they don't like to win.
Okay, so two things here. Trump says he's out. He says if you're going to do a virtual debate, I'm not doing it. You've changed the rules. We agreed that both campaigns agreed to the formats for the 3 debates. Now the debate commission has changed the format without my approval. Now I don't mean to speak for him, but I mean that's basically what he's saying. I'm not doing a stupid virtual debate. So now what? We don't know if there's going to be a debate next Thursday. What's it going to be like now? And, that's a problem because we'd like to see these guys go up there and do it again. I think the American people they should get their 3 debates. Now, I agree with the president that a virtual debate would be crap. I mean, it really would. It's a Zoom call with people. So he's going to be at Biden headquarters, Trump headquarters, each on the screen, and then we're going to have people in an audience ask questions. I think that's ridiculous. I assume that this is going to be a part of negotiations. Now, from what I understand, the debate commission made a decision, and I hope we can work something out. I think we really do need in-person debates. Now, what does that mean? Does that make Trump look like he's a scaredy cat? I don't think so. I mean, he clearly wants to debate, but he doesn't want to do it virtually. And and now after the first debate, there's maybe some rumors that the moderator might have some power to maybe mute President Trump's microphone, which would be ridiculous. And actually, I think, excuse me here, I actually think that a virtual debate will be more of a cluster F, more of a shit show, if you will, than the first one. Because if you've ever been on a Zoom call and people are trying to talk, it's chaos. And then we're going to have the moderator deciding who to mute here, who to mute there. People are going to be trying to jump in. It's going to be an absolute disaster. I hope they can work out something. Hopefully they can come up with something because it's the Trump COVID fear, right? Hopefully he can test out negative or something. And if he does that, then maybe they'll approve it. Just maybe, delay the debate. Maybe just set it to instead of next Thursday, maybe set it to the following Monday or Tuesday or something like that. There's nothing wrong with giving it a little bit of a delay. I hope they work something out. A virtual debate would be absolute crap. And I don't think this is Trump trying to get out of it. I think this is Trump saying this is a terrible format. We need to come up with something new. By the way, he mentioned the moderator as a never Trump guy. This is Steve Scully from C-SPAN. Now, this is what he's talking about. You may have seen this going around, but just so you know the background. Oh, by the way, the debate, I don't have the name in front of me, but the debate moderator from last night for the vice presidential debate, she's writing a biography on Nancy Pelosi, just to understand the context. Now, this is Steve Scully. Scroll up here. Tweet here from Steve Scully back in 2016. Gotta love the VIP at the Biden Beach Bash 2016. There he is with Biden. Now that by itself, well, he says you gotta love Biden. I don't know. It doesn't necessarily mean he's a supporter, but he's chummy. But that's one. Here's another tweet. Back in 2016, an opinion from New York Times. No, not Trump, not ever. From David Brooks, it looks like. Now, and this is his response right there. Steve Scully. No, not Trump, not ever. So he's a never Trumper. Now, I don't know if he's a Republican, Democrat, Independent, but he doesn't like Trump. And so, that doesn't really inspire confidence that he's going to be fair to the president. Now, I mean, these are all Beltway people, and most Beltway people don't like Trump, regardless of where they fall on the political spectrum. They just don't like him. And where are you going to find? Is there an honest moderator in this town? Probably not. They probably don't exist. For DC people, they just don't like Trump, and they're never going to. And that's the case. So I wanted to get your thoughts, highlight on the VP debate. I wanted to also drop in this news from President Trump. What you think about that? Should Trump cancel? Should Trump stand firm in this idea that I'm not doing a virtual debate? It's got to be in person. Do you agree with that? And let me know who you think won the vice presidential debate last night. Well, that's all we got for today. If you're here on Facebook, please hit the like button, share this video with your friends. If you're watching on YouTube, I would love it if you hit the like button as well, subscribe to the channel, and then head on over to informedamerican.com where you can get real smart news. Have a great day.